The year was 2347. On a distant world called Kepler-22c, humans had built a small farming colony. The planet was green and beautiful. It had clean air, fresh water, and rich soil. Families came from Earth to start new lives here. They grew crops. They raised animals. They built homes. It was peaceful. Among these families lived a young girl named Una. She was 8 years old. She had long black hair that her mother always tied into 2 braids. Her eyes were curious and kind. She loved to explore the forest near her home. She loved to watch the strange birds that flew in the orange sky. Most of all, she loved animals. Una lived with her father Tay and her mother, Hannah. Tay was a strong man who worked hard on the farm every day. He had rough hands and a gentle heart. Hannah was a doctor who helped sick people in the colony. She was smart and caring. They loved their daughter very much. The colony had brought many animals from Earth. There were chickens for eggs. There were cows for milk. There were dogs that helped guard the farms. And there was one animal that nobody wanted. A honey badger named Bada. Bada was not like the other animals. He was small but very strong. His fur was gray and white. His claws were sharp like knives. His eyes were dark and angry. The farmers had brought him to kill the burrowing pests that ate their crops. But Bada was too wild, too aggressive. He bit anyone who came near him. He escaped from his cage 3 times. He fought with the dogs and won. The farmers wanted to send him back to Earth, but Una saw something different in Bada. She saw a lonely creature. She saw an animal that everyone feared but no one loved. So she started visiting him every day. She sat by his cage and talked to him softly. She brought him pieces of meat from the kitchen. At first, Bada growled at her. He showed his teeth. But Una did not run away. She just smiled and kept talking. Weeks passed. Then months. Slowly, something changed. Bada stopped growling when Una came. He started waiting for her by the cage door. One day, he let her touch his head through the bars. His fur was rough but warm. Una laughed with joy. From that day on, they were friends. Her father Tay did not like this friendship. He warned Una many times. He said honey badgers were dangerous. He said they could not be trusted. He said Bada might hurt her one day. But Una shook her head. She said Bada would never hurt her. She said he was her friend. Tay sighed and let her continue. He could not say no to his daughter. One evening, everything changed. Tay was in the barn when his communication device started beeping. It was an emergency signal. He ran inside and turned on the main screen. A message appeared. It was from the Colonial Defense Force. Warning: unknown alien fleet approaching. Species identified as Vikra. Hostile. All colonists must evacuate immediately. Repeat. Evacuate. Immediately. Tay felt his blood turn cold. He had heard stories about the Vikra. They were conquerors. They traveled from world to world, taking resources and capturing people. No colony had ever survived their attack. He ran to find his family. Hannah was already packing bags. Her hands were shaking, but she moved fast. She grabbed medicine, food, and water. Tay grabbed weapons. He had an old rifle that he used for hunting. It would not be much against aliens, but it was better than nothing. Outside, the sky was changing. The orange sunset was turning red. Strange lights appeared in the clouds. They were not stars. They were ships. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. They moved slowly, like predators watching their prey. The colonists ran in all directions. Some headed for the emergency shelters. Some tried to reach the evacuation ships at the landing zone. Screams filled the air. Children cried. Animals panicked. Una was in the forest when she heard the alarm. She had gone to visit Bada at his cage near the edge of the colony. When the sirens started, she tried to run home. But there were too many people. Too much chaos. Someone pushed her and she fell. When she got up, she could not see her parents anywhere. The first alien ship landed in the center of the colony. It was black and shaped like a giant insect. A door opened and soldiers came out. They were tall. Very tall. Their bodies were covered in hard shells like beetles. They had 4 arms and large red eyes. They carried long weapons that glowed with blue light. They were Vikara. Yuna hid behind a water tank. Her heart was beating so fast she thought it might explode. She watched the aliens spread out through the colony. They moved quickly and efficiently. They captured people and dragged them toward the ships. Anyone who resisted was shot with the blue light. They fell and did not move again. Yuna wanted to find her parents, but she was too scared to move. Tears ran down her cheeks. She was alone. She was just a child. What could she do? Then she heard a familiar sound. A low growl. She turned around and saw Bada. He had escaped from his cage again. But this time, he did not run away. He came straight to her. He stood beside her and looked up at her face. His dark eyes seemed to say one thing. I am here. Yuna did not know how he found her. She did not know why he came. But in that moment, she felt a little less afraid. She reached down and touched his head. His fur was warm under her fingers. An explosion rocked the ground. The aliens were getting closer. Yuna knew she could not stay here. She had to hide. She had to survive. She looked at the forest behind her. It was dark and deep, but it was her only chance. She started running. Bada ran beside her. They left the burning colony behind. They ran past fallen trees and strange plants. They ran until Yuna could not breathe anymore. Finally, she stopped near a small stream. She fell to her knees and drank the cold water. Bada stood guard. His ears moved in every direction. His nose tested the air. He was watching, protecting. Yuna looked at him and felt something warm in her chest. This small, angry animal had followed her into danger. He had chosen her. She did not know what would happen next. She did not know if her parents were alive. She did not know if anyone would come to save her. But she knew one thing. She was not alone. She had Bada. And somehow, that was enough. The night grew darker. The sounds of the colony faded. Somewhere far away, alien soldiers searched for survivors. But here in the forest, a little girl and a honey badger sat together by a stream. They were small. They were scared. But they were together. And that was how their journey began. The forest was quiet but not peaceful. Every shadow seemed dangerous. Every sound made Yuna's heart jump. She walked slowly through the thick bushes, trying not to make noise. Bada walked ahead of her, his nose close to the ground. He was guiding her deeper into the forest, away from the burning colony. Yuna's legs hurt. Her dress was torn. She had scratches on her arms from the branches. But she did not stop. She could not stop. Behind her, the sky glowed red with fire. The aliens were still there. They were still hunting. After walking for what felt like hours, Yuna found a large fallen tree. Its trunk was old and hollow inside. There was a small space underneath it, just big enough for a child to hide. Yuna crawled inside. The ground was cold and wet. Dead leaves covered the floor. But it was hidden. It was safe. Bada crawled in after her. He pressed his body against her side. His warmth was comforting. Yuna wrapped her arms around him and tried to stop shaking. She was so tired, so scared, but she could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the aliens. She saw their red eyes and their glowing weapons. She thought about her parents. Were they alive? Did they escape? She wanted to cry. She wanted to scream for her mother. But she stayed silent. She knew that making noise would bring the aliens. So she bit her lip and held Bada tighter. The night passed slowly. Strange sounds came from the forest. Animals called to each other in the darkness. Once, Yuna heard something large walking nearby. Its footsteps were heavy and slow. Bada tensed up. He growled very softly, so quiet that only Yuna could hear. They waited. The footsteps moved away. They were safe for now. When the first light of morning came through the trees, Yuna finally fell asleep. She dreamed of her home. She dreamed of her mother cooking breakfast. She dreamed of her father laughing. In her dreams, everything was normal. Everything was okay. She woke up to Bada licking her face. His rough tongue tickled her cheek. She opened her eyes and saw daylight filtering through the leaves above. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then the memories came back. The invasion, the fire, the running. Her chest tightened with fear, but there was no time to be sad. Her stomach was growling. She needed food. She needed water. She remembered the stream from last night. It was not far. She crawled out from under the tree and stretched her tired body. The forest looked different in daylight. Less scary. The trees had purple leaves that sparkled in the sun. Small insects with golden wings flew between the flowers. It was almost beautiful, almost peaceful. But Yuna knew the danger was still there. She walked back to the stream with Bada. She drank the cool water and washed her face. She found some berries growing on a bush nearby. Her father had taught her which berries were safe to eat. These ones were purple and sweet. She ate a handful and gave some to Bada. He sniffed them once and then ate them all. As they were eating, Bada suddenly stopped. His whole body went stiff. His ears pointed forward. He was staring at something in the trees ahead. Yuna followed his gaze but saw nothing. Just trees and bushes and shadows. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Not animal footsteps. These were heavier. More mechanical. They were coming closer. Yuna grabbed Bada and pulled him back toward the hollow tree. But it was too late. A figure stepped out from behind a large rock. It was a Vakra soldier. Its red eyes locked onto Yuna immediately. It made a clicking sound with its mouth. The sound was probably words in its language. It stepped toward her. Yuna could not move. Her body was frozen with fear. The alien was so tall, so big. Its forearms reached toward her. Its weapon glowed with blue light. This was it. This was the end. But Bada was not frozen. Bada did not know the meaning of fear. His entire body was made for one thing: fighting. And now something was threatening his friend. The honey badger exploded forward. He moved so fast that even the alien was surprised. 30 pounds of muscle, claws, and teeth flew through the air. Bada hit the alien's arm with all his strength. His claws dug into the gaps between the armor plates. His teeth found the soft flesh underneath. The Vakra screamed. It was a high-pitched sound that hurt Yuna's ears. The alien tried to shake Bada off. It swung its arm wildly. But Bada held on. His jaws locked tight. His claws kept digging deeper. The alien fired its weapon. The blue light shot past Yuna's head and hit a tree behind her. The tree exploded into flames. The alien fired again and again, but it could not aim properly. Bada was climbing up its arm now, moving toward the throat. The Vakra fell backward. It crashed through bushes and landed on its back. Bada did not stop. He climbed onto the alien's chest. He found the spot where the neck met the head. The armor was thinner there. He bit down with all his strength. The alien's body shook once, twice. Then it stopped moving. Bada stood on the dead alien's chest. His fur was wet with dark blood. Some of it was the aliens. Some of it was his own. A burn mark ran across his side where the weapon had grazed him. But he was still standing, still alive. He jumped down and walked back to Yuna. He sat in front of her and looked up at her face. His dark eyes were calm, as if he had done nothing special, as if killing an alien soldier was just another day for him. Yuna stared at him. Her mouth was open. Her hands were shaking. She had just watched this small animal fight and kill a creature 3 times its size. A creature with armor and weapons. A creature that scared her so much she could not move. Tears began falling down her cheeks. But they were not tears of fear. They were tears of something else. Something warmed Dodd. She knelt down and hugged Bada tight. She could feel his heart beating fast. She could feel his rough fur against her face. She could feel the heat from his wound. He was hurt. He was hurt because of her. Yuna pulled back and looked at the burn on his side. The skin was red and damaged. It looked painful. But Bada did not whimper. He did not cry. He just stood there, waiting for her. She tore a piece of cloth from her dress. She wet it in the stream and gently pressed it against his wound. Bada held still. He let her help him. He trusted her completely. As she cleaned his wound, Yuna made a decision. This animal had risked his life for her. He had fought for her. He had killed for her. And she knew he would do it again. He would die for her if he had to, but she would not let that happen. She would protect him too. They would protect each other. She finished cleaning his wound and stood up. She looked at the dead alien on the ground. Its weapon lay beside it. The long stick with the glowing end. She did not know how to use it, but she picked it up anyway. It was heavy, but she could carry it. She looked at Bada. He looked back at her. Together, they walked deeper into the forest. Behind them, the dead alien lay still. The first enemy to fall. But Yuna knew there would be more. Many more. The aliens would not give up easily, but neither would she. Neither would Bada. The hunt was just beginning. Commander Drell stood in the center of the captured colony. His red eyes scanned the burning buildings. His forearms were crossed behind his back. Around him, Vikra soldiers moved quickly, loading captured humans onto transport ships. Everything was going according to plan. Another world conquered. Another victory. Then a soldier approached him. The soldier's movements were nervous. His antenna twitched with fear. Drell knew immediately that something was wrong. The soldier spoke in their clicking language. He reported that a scout had been sent to search the forest for escaped humans. The scout had not returned. They found his body near a stream. He was dead. Killed. Drell's eyes narrowed. Killed by what? A human weapon? The soldier shook his head. No. The scout was killed by an animal. His throat was torn out. His armor was broken. Drell was confused. What kind of animal could kill a Vekra soldier? Earth creatures were weak, small, harmless. His soldiers had already captured dozens of humans without any real resistance. How could an animal be dangerous? He ordered the soldiers to show him the body. They walked through the forest until they reached the stream. The dead scout lay on the ground. Drell examined the wounds carefully. The cuts were deep. The bite marks were savage. Whatever killed this soldier was not afraid. It was not running away. It had attacked directly, without hesitation. Near the body, Drell found something else. Small footprints in the mud. Human footprints. A child. And next to the child's footprints were animal tracks. 4 small paws. Drell understood now. A human child was hiding in the forest. And it had a guardian. Some kind of earth beast that protected it. This was unexpected. But not a problem. He would simply send more soldiers. He ordered a full hunting squad. 12 soldiers, the best trackers in his army. Their mission was simple: find the child and bring her back alive. She would make an interesting specimen for study, and kill the animal. Bring its body back too. Drell wanted to see what kind of creature had the courage to attack a Vikra. Deep in the forest, Una kept moving. She walked during the day and hid at night. She ate berries and roots. She drank from streams. The alien weapon was heavy on her shoulder. She did not know how to use it, but having it made her feel a little safer. Bada's wound was healing. Honey badgers were tough animals. Their bodies could recover from injuries that would kill other creatures. After 2 days, he was moving normally again. He walked ahead of Una, always watching, always listening. He was her eyes and ears in this dangerous forest. On the 3rd day, Una remembered something. Her father had taken her to explore a cave system once. It was far from the colony, hidden behind a waterfall. Her father had called it their secret place. He said, if anything bad ever happened, she should go there and wait. She changed direction. She walked toward the mountains in the distance. The cave was there, somewhere. If she could find it, she could hide properly. Maybe her father was waiting there too. Maybe she could find her family. But the Vikra were faster than she expected. They had machines that could see heat. They could track her body warmth through the trees. On the 4th day, just as Una spotted the waterfall in the distance, the hunters found her. They came from all directions. 12 tall aliens with red eyes and glowing weapons. They moved through the forest like ghosts, silent, deadly. They surrounded her. Before she even knew they were there, Una stopped at the entrance of the cave. Her back was against the rock. Her heart was pounding. She could see them now, coming through the trees. Their weapons pointed at her. Their clicking voices filled the air. They were not in a hurry. They knew she had nowhere to run. Bada stood in front of her. His fur was raised. His teeth were showing. He was growling low and dangerous. He was ready to fight. But this time, there were too many enemies. Even Bada could not fight 12 soldiers. The lead soldier stepped forward. He spoke into a device on his wrist. He was probably reporting to his commander. Then he reached toward Una with one of his 4 arms. Bada attacked. He launched himself at the soldier with all his strength. His claws found the gaps in the armor. His teeth bit deep. The soldier screamed and stumbled backward. 2 other soldiers rushed to help their friend. Bada let go and spun around, attacking the closest one. He was a blur of fur and claws. He was fighting like a demon, but there were too many. A soldier swung its weapon like a club and hit Bada in the side. He flew through the air and crashed against a tree. He fell to the ground and did not move. Una screamed. She ran to Bada and fell to her knees beside him. His eyes were closed. His body was still. A large burn mark covered his back where the energy blast had hit him. She could not tell if he was breathing. The soldiers watched. They made clicking sounds to each other. They seemed amused. What a foolish creature, fighting against impossible odds. What a waste. Una looked up at them. Tears were streaming down her face. But something else was burning inside her. Something hot and fierce. It was anger. Pure, burning anger. She grabbed the alien weapon from the ground. It was heavy, but she lifted it anyway. She stood up and faced the soldiers. Her hands were shaking. Her legs were weak. But she did not back down. One soldier laughed. The clicking sound was mocking. A human child with a Vecra weapon? She probably did not even know how to turn it on. He was right. Una did not know how to fire the weapon, but she knew how to hold it. She knew how to swing it. And she knew she would not let them take her friend. The soldiers moved closer. They reached for her. And then something happened that none of them expected. Bada stood up, his body was burned. His leg was twisted at a strange angle. He was bleeding from a dozen wounds. But he was standing. His eyes were open, and they were filled with fury. Honey badgers have special bodies. Their skin is loose and thick. It lets them twist around even when an enemy is holding them. It protects them from bites and stings. And their muscles are strong, much stronger than animals twice their size. They have been known to fight lions. They have been known to kill cobras. They never give up. They never surrender. Bada snarled. The sound was terrible, full of pain and rage. He charged at the nearest soldier. The alien tried to step back, but Bada was too fast. He grabbed the soldier's leg and climbed up its body like a ladder. He reached the throat and bit down. Another soldier fell. The others panicked. They started shooting their weapons wildly. Blue energy blasts flew in all directions. Trees exploded. Rocks shattered. But Bada kept moving. He jumped from one enemy to another. He was too fast to hit. Too angry to stop. Yun, I watched in amazement. This small creature, half dead and bleeding, was fighting an army. And he was winning. But she could not let him fight alone. She swung the heavy weapon at a soldier that came near her. She missed its body but hit its hand. The soldier dropped its weapon and stumbled backward. Yuna swung again and again. She was not skilled. She was not strong. But she was brave. And sometimes bravery is enough. The battle lasted only minutes. When it was over, 5 soldiers lay dead on the ground. The remaining 7 had retreated into the forest. They had not expected this. They had not expected such fierce resistance from a child and an animal. Bada collapsed beside Yuna. His breathing was shallow. His wounds were terrible. But he was alive. Still alive. Yuna dropped the weapon and knelt beside him. She carefully lifted his broken body and carried him into the cave. The waterfall hid the entrance. Inside, it was dark and cool. Safe. She found a soft spot and laid Bada down gently. She gathered moss from the cave walls and pressed it against his wounds. She dripped water into his mouth. She did everything she could think of to help him. And through it all, Bada looked at her. His dark eyes never left her face. Even now, hurt and dying, he was watching her, protecting her, loving her. Yuna leaned down and pressed her forehead against his. She whispered softly to him. She told him he was brave. She told him he was her best friend. She told him he could not die. She needed him. She could not do this alone. Outside, the sun was setting. Somewhere in the forest, 7 Vecra soldiers were running back to their commander with an unbelievable story. The story of a monster that would not die. The story of a child who stood against an army. The war was not over. It was just beginning. The 7 surviving soldiers returned to Commander Drell. They were injured. They were scared. And they had no child with them. Drell listened to their report with growing anger. 12 of his best hunters sent to capture 1 small human. 5 dead. 7 fled. Defeated by a child and an animal. Drell demanded to see the recordings. Every soldier wore a camera on their helmet. The recordings showed everything. He watched the small creature attack without hesitation. He watched it get shot and fall. He watched it rise again, broken and bleeding, and keep fighting. He watched the human child swing a weapon at his soldiers. He watched his army retreat in fear. When the recording ended, Drell was silent for a long time. His second-in-command, Voss, stood beside him. Voss was older than Drell. He had conquered many worlds. He had seen many things. But he had never seen anything like this. Voss spoke carefully. He asked what kind of creature this was. How could something so small be so dangerous? How could it take so much damage and still fight? Drell searched the Earth database that they had captured from the colony's computers. He found the entry for the animal, Mellivora capensis, the honey badger. He read about its characteristics: extremely aggressive, fearless, thick, loose skin that protects it from attacks, strong muscles, sharp claws. It was known on Earth for attacking animals much larger than itself. Lions, leopards, hyenas, it would fight anything. It would never run away. Voss nodded slowly. So the humans brought a war beast to this planet. A living weapon. That explained everything. The creature was trained to protect the child. It was doing its job, but as Voss watched the recording again, he noticed something strange. The animal did not fight like a weapon. It fought like something else. Every time it attacked, it moved back toward the child. Every time the child was threatened, it attacked with more fury. When it fell, it looked at the child. When it rose again, it looked at the child. Everything it did was for her. Voss understood something then. This creature was not a weapon. It was not following orders. It was not doing a job. It was fighting because it loved the child. It was protecting her with its life because she mattered to it. The bond between them was not training. It was loyalty. Pure, unconditional loyalty. This concept confused Voss. The Vikra did not have such bonds. They conquered because their species needed resources. They fought because they had to survive. Everything they did was logical, practical, but this creature was fighting for something illogical. It was fighting for love. Voss shared his thoughts with Commander Drell. Drell dismissed them. Love? Loyalty? These were weaknesses, not strengths. The creature was simply an animal following its instincts. It would die eventually. They just needed to send more soldiers, but Voss was not so sure. He had conquered many worlds. He had defeated many enemies. The strongest enemies were always the ones who fought for something more than survival. The ones who had something to protect. The ones who would rather die than surrender. Drell did not listen. He ordered the entire ground force to prepare for assault. 200 soldiers, tanks, flying drones. They would find the cave. They would capture the child. And they would kill the beast. This insult to the Vitra Empire would not stand. Inside the cave, Yuna sat beside Bada. 3 days had passed since the battle. She had barely slept. She had barely eaten. All her focus was on keeping Bada alive. She changed his bandages. She gave him water. She talked to him constantly, telling him stories about her parents, about their farm, about her dreams. Bada was healing, but slowly. Honey badgers were tough, but even they had limits. The energy blast had damaged his internal organs. His leg was broken. His spirit was strong, but his body was failing. Yuna refused to give up. She remembered watching her mother treat sick patients. She remembered the herbs her mother used for healing. She searched the cave and found some plants growing near the water. She did not know if they would help, but she tried anyway. She made a paste from the leaves and spread it on Bada's wounds. She made a drink from the roots and helped him swallow it. On the 4th day, something changed. Bada opened his eyes fully for the first time. He lifted his head and looked around the cave. Then he looked at Yuna. His tail moved weakly. It was almost like a wag. Yuna laughed and cried at the same time. She hugged him gently, being careful not to hurt his wounds. He was getting better. He was going to live, but their celebration did not last long. Later that day, Yuna heard sounds outside the cave. Loud sounds, engines, machines, marching feet. She crept to the entrance and looked through the waterfall. Her heart stopped. The forest was full of aliens. Hundreds of them. They moved between the trees like a dark wave. Tanks floated above the ground. Drones flew through the air. They were searching, coming closer. The waterfall would not hide her for long. Yuna ran back to Bada. He was already trying to stand. His legs shook. His body swayed. But he was standing. He had heard the sounds too. He knew what was coming. Yuna looked at him. His wounds were still fresh. He could barely walk. If he tried to fight again, he would die. She was sure of it. But she also knew that he would try. He would fight until his last breath. For her, she knelt beside him and held his face in her hands. She looked into his dark eyes. She told him he could not fight this time. There were too many. They would both die. She told him she wanted to live. She wanted them both to live. Bada stared back at her. He did not understand her words, but he understood her tone. He understood her tears. He licked her hand gently. Yuna made a decision. They could not fight. They could not run. But maybe they could hide. The cave system was deep. Her father had said it went on for miles. If they went deeper, maybe the aliens would not find them. Maybe they could wait until help came. She helped Bada walk. It was slow and painful. He limped on his broken leg. She supported his weight as best she could. Together, they moved deeper into the darkness. The cave twisted and turned. The air grew colder. Water dripped from the ceiling. Yuna could hear the aliens entering the cave behind them. Their clicking voices echoed off the walls. Their lights flickered in the darkness. She moved faster. Bada tried to keep up. They went deeper and deeper until Yuna could not hear the aliens anymore. Until the only sound was their own breathing. They found a small chamber at the end of a narrow tunnel. It was barely big enough for both of them. Yuna helped Bada lie down. Then she sat beside him and waited. Hours passed. The darkness was complete. Yuna could not see anything. She could only feel Bada's warm body beside her. She could only hear his steady breathing. She was scared. More scared than she had ever been. But she was not alone. And that made all the difference. Far above them, Commander Drell searched the cave entrance. His soldiers found signs that the child had been there. Bandages, food scraps, footprints, but the cave was deep. Too deep to search quickly. He ordered his soldiers to go inside and find her, but Voss stopped him. He reminded Drell of something. The main colonial fleet had sent a distress signal before they captured it. Reinforcements might be coming. Human warships. If they arrived while the army was spread out in caves, the Vajra would be vulnerable. Drell considered this. He was angry. He wanted the child dead. He wanted the beast dead. But Voss was right. The mission came first. They would leave soldiers at the cave entrance. When the child came out, they would capture her. But the main force needed to prepare for possible human reinforcements. In the darkness below, Yuna did not know any of this. She only knew that the sounds had stopped. The aliens were not coming deeper. For now, she was safe. She held Bada close and closed her eyes. In her mind, she saw her father's face. She heard her mother's voice. She prayed they were alive. She prayed help would come. And somewhere in space, a human rescue fleet was already on its way. Yuna woke up to a strange sound. It was like thunder, but different, sharper, more violent. The cave wall shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Bada was already awake, his ears pointed upward. She crawled to the tunnel entrance and listened. More sounds, explosions, screaming, energy weapons firing. Something was happening above. Something big. For hours, the battle raged overhead. Yuna held Bada and waited. She did not know who was fighting. She did not know who was winning. All she could do was hope. Hope that someone had come to save them. When the sounds finally stopped, Yuna did not move. She was too scared. What if the aliens had won? What if they were waiting at the cave entrance? But she could not stay in the darkness forever. She had no food left, no water. Bada was weak and needed medicine. She made her choice. She would go up. She would see what had happened. If the aliens were there, she would fight. She would fight until the end. She helped Bada stand. His leg was still broken, but he was stronger than before. The rest had helped him. The plants had helped him. He limped beside her as they walked through the dark tunnels. The journey up took a long time. Yuna moved slowly, checking every corner, listening for danger. But the cave was silent. No clicking voices. No glowing lights. Just darkness and dripping water. Finally, she saw light ahead. Real light. Sunlight filtering through the waterfall. Her heart beat faster. She moved toward it carefully. When she stepped out of the cave, she could not believe what she saw. The forest was destroyed. Trees were burned. The ground was covered with craters. Alien bodies lay everywhere. Their dark blood stained the rocks. Their broken machines smoked and sparked. But there were other bodies too. Human soldiers. In armor she recognized. Colonial Defense Force. The humans had come. They had fought, and they had won. Yuna heard a voice calling her name. A voice she knew. A voice she had dreamed about every night in that dark cave. She turned and saw her father running toward her. Tay's face was dirty. His clothes were torn. He had a rifle in his hands and blood on his cheek. But he was alive. He was real. Yuna ran to him. She threw herself into his arms. He caught her and held her so tight she could barely breathe. Tears streamed down both their faces. He said her name over and over. His little girl. His brave little girl. Behind him, more soldiers emerged from the trees. They were carrying wounded friends. They were checking alien bodies. They were securing the area. A medic ran toward Yuna and started checking her for injuries. But Yuna pushed the medic away. She pointed at Bada. The honey badger stood at the cave entrance. He was watching everything with his dark eyes. His body was covered with bandages and wounds. His leg was twisted. He looked like he should be dead. But he was standing. Still standing. The medic hesitated. It was an animal. A wild animal. But Yuna grabbed his arm and pulled him toward Bada. She said he needed help. She said he saved her life. She said he was her friend. Tay understood. He told the medic to help the animal. Whatever it needed. Medicine. Surgery. Anything. The medic knelt beside Bada. Bada growled weakly, but Yuna stroked his head and whispered to him. She told him these people were friends. They were here to help. Bada relaxed. He let the medic examine his wounds. While the medic worked, Tay sat beside his daughter. He asked her what happened. How did she survive for so long? How did she escape the aliens? Yuna told him everything. She told him about running into the forest. She told him about hiding under the fallen tree. She told him about Bada killing the first alien. She told him about the battle at the cave entrance. She told him about Bada getting shot and burned and beaten, and getting up every time to fight again. Tay listened with wide eyes. He looked at the small creature being treated by the medic. This little animal had done all that? Had protected his daughter against an army. Other soldiers gathered around. They heard the story too. They looked at Bada with new respect. Some of them had been fighting aliens for years. They knew how dangerous the Vikra were. For a small animal to kill so many of them was incredible. Impossible. But here was the proof, standing right in front of them. One soldier asked what kind of animal it was. Yuna told him. A honey badger from Earth. The soldier laughed in disbelief. A honey badger? He had seen videos of those creatures. Crazy little things that fought everything. He never thought one could fight aliens. Tay hugged his daughter again. He told her that her mother was safe too. Hana had escaped on one of the first evacuation ships. She was waiting at the military base. She would be so happy to see Yuna alive. Yuna smiled for the first time in days. Her family was safe. She was safe. Bada was safe. Everything was going to be okay. But there was one more thing that needed to happen. Commander Drell was not dead. When the human warships arrived, he had retreated to the forest with a small group of soldiers. He had watched his army get destroyed. He had watched his invasion fail. And he was furious. He tracked the human rescue team to the waterfall. He saw the girl emerge from the cave. He saw her reunion with her father. And he saw the animal. The creature that had killed his soldiers. The creature that had humiliated him. Drell decided he would have revenge. He would kill the beast himself. He would show everyone that the Vekra were not afraid of any earth creature. He stepped out of the trees. His soldiers stayed behind, too scared to follow. He walked toward the group of humans alone. His forearms hung at his sides. His red eyes burned with hatred. The human soldiers raised their weapons. But Drell did not care. He pointed at Bada. He made clicking sounds. He was challenging the animal. One-on-one. To the death. No one understood his language. But everyone understood his meaning. Bada stepped forward. His leg dragged behind him. His body was wrapped in bandages. He was half dead and barely standing. But his eyes were clear. His growl was steady. He accepted the challenge. Yuna screamed. She tried to run to Bada, but her father held her back. She could not interfere. This was something Bada needed to do. Everyone could see it. The animal would not back down. He never backed down. Drell towered over Bada. He was 10 times the animal's size. He had 4 arms. He had armor. He had been trained to fight since birth. But as he looked into the honey badger's eyes, he felt something he had never felt before. Fear. Drell attacked first. His fist swung down like a hammer. But Bada moved. Even broken and hurt, he was fast. He dodged to the side and lunged at Drell's leg. His teeth found the gap in the armor. He bit down hard. Drell roared. He grabbed Bada and threw him across the clearing. Bada hit the ground and rolled. He got up immediately. Blood dripped from his mouth. He charged again. The fight was brutal. Drell was stronger, bigger, but Bada was relentless. Every time Drell threw him down, he got up. Every time Drell hit him, he attacked again. His claws tore at Drell's armor. His teeth found flesh wherever they could. Drell could not understand it. How was this creature still fighting? How was it still alive? What kind of monster was this? The answer was simple. Bada was not fighting for himself. He was fighting for Yuna. She was watching. She was counting on him. He could not lose. He would not lose. Not while she needed him. With one final effort, Bada climbed up Drell's body. The alien tried to grab him, but Bada was too fast. He reached Drell's neck. He found the gap between helmet and armor, and he bit down with everything he had. Commander Drell, conqueror of 17 worlds, fell to his knees. His red eyes went dark. His body collapsed to the ground. He was dead. Bada stood on his chest. The honey badger was barely breathing. His body was broken beyond repair. But he had won. Yuna broke free from her father and ran to Bada. She scooped him up in her arms. He was so light, so weak. His eyes looked up at her. His tail tried to wag but could not. The medics rushed over. They took Bada from her arms. They worked on him right there in the clearing. For an hour, everyone watched. Soldiers, officers, even captured aliens. They all watched as humans fought to save one small animal, and they succeeded. Bada lived. It took months of surgery and recovery. He lost his leg. He had scars all over his body, but he lived. And when Yuna came to visit him in the medical center, his tail finally wagged properly. Years later, Una became a scientist. She studied the bonds between humans and animals. She wrote papers and gave speeches. She traveled to many worlds. And everywhere she went, Bada went with her. He rode on her shoulder or walked beside her wheelchair when his old body grew too tired.